Welcome to Inside Football, a KLCoaching podcast. This show features conversations with coaches and players on development and the game, exploring how players actually improve, how coaches think, and the real experiences from inside football. Today, I'm honoured and very excited to be joined by a man with incredible passion towards grassroots football and someone who showed ongoing resilience with recent issues in the game. Kenny, it's with great pleasure I welcome you on today's podcast. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. Thank you very much. That's a very nice introduction, mate. So honestly, mate, I'm honoured to be here. Anybody who knows me knows I love talking. So it's my pleasure, mate. Thank you.
Absolutely. We're very excited to dig into a bit of your background. So just to begin with, could you just tell us, for those that don't know, who you are and just a little bit about your background?
I'm Kenny Sharpe. As most people will know me as Kenny Stockbrook, but my real name is Sharpe. And I set up football in Stocky. Probably I've done Stockbrook Colts for 21 years, and before that, I did a couple of years with men's football. Would not recommend. I dipped back into men's football in 2013. Did like really well with the group of players that we had. We had two really good seasons, but sort of finances killed that. And then that me and my partner Kelly, we started Stockbrook Colts in 2005. We started it just because our sons played for teams or didn't play for teams because of where we lived. So uh, I just thought it was a bit expensive for like what they were getting, and I thought I can do that myself. So I just started it up, and I started it like subs for £1, and I've sort of carried that on that forever up until recently, where we've had to change it, but we've also had to change like where we are logistically as well. So we've had a bit of a nightmare year this year, but yeah, that's a little bit about me. Not much of a player, but all right, coach.
So, what was football like back in 2005 when you first set it up, or when you first got involved?
When I first started it, mate, the first night we went up there, I'll never forget it. I can't remember. We did a flyer because there was no like social media or anything then. So it was all word of mouth and flyers in shops and stuff like that. So I remember like putting them out there and then going past certain shops and like they didn't have it up. And I thought, when I got to the park and I've got two sons. So I had them two there, me and Kelly, one football, and I had like a milk crate full of water bottles because I thought nobody ever has a drink. Like my kids are forever bringing hundreds of kids back to our house for drinks. So I filled up all these water bottles, and I could. Let's say it was 25 past 6. There was the three kids whacking a ball about. Me and my missus just stood there, and I was like, well, we can't say we never tried. And then at like 6:30, it was like a film, like where people just kept coming and coming. And on the first session, there was like 45 kids. And I thought, I think I've bit off a bit more than I could chew here. So there was 45 on night one, and I was like drafting parents in left, right, and centre to help. And it's been like that ever since. I've been really lucky with parents, friends. Up until recently, the amount of friends that run teams here definitely outweighed the parents type of thing. But yeah, mate, it just started from that, and then we didn't have a kit, so eBay like was a thing back then, where everybody was buying stuff on eBay. So I got this kit, and I got a bus to Hilton for this blue and black kit because I saw it on eBay and I thought that I want blue and black. That's got to be our colours. I got the bus there, and then I bought the kit, gave the guy the money, and then he saw me walking up the street, and like I was a bit lost, but I had a paper map. There were no smartphones back then, mate. So I'm making myself. I can hear myself sounding old. So I had a paper map, and this guy was going to a derby match. So he said to me, "What are you doing, mate?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just like trying to work out how to get back the way I came." And he was like, he said, "Listen, I'm going to Derby Town Centre." I said, "Look, I live near there." So he dropped me back in the thingy. And then as I got out of the car, he actually gave me the money back that I'd paid for the kit. It was only, I think it was like £25 or something like that. And it was just a blue and black kit with, I've got one somewhere with like ML services on the front. And then he gave me the money back after hearing what I was doing. And like from then, like, the amount of goodwill and stuff like that I've had, because I don't really know why. I'm not. I honestly haven't got a clue why it started, but that's led me to do quite a lot of nice things from that one thing that started it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like you say there, it was that shock of having no one turn up, and then all of a sudden everyone turned up, and
Oh,
it's
mate,
shot off from there. So no, I think
frightening.
that's fantastic. So when would you say it went from something local with those, like you say, 45 kids on the first session, um, to now a club with multiple teams and quite a popular, famous club in Derby, if you will?
Yeah, well, what happened was is I never let anybody be part of it. People always said, like, we had one team and then we had a group of lads that played at Willows. And then other people came and said, "Oh, I'd like to put a club in, like alongside you." And I was always like, "Nah, we're all right on our own. We'll just take this to like the end." So under 18s or under 16s, whatever it was. It started at under 10s, and like they were the whipping boys. And then it progressed, and they actually like became like a really good team. And then just towards the end of that year, like the end of the last year, a guy, Saj, tricked me into using the badge to get these two teams up and running. And then I was like, yeah. You can do that. And then he was running them. And then all of a sudden, he wasn't running them. And they sort of like landed in the lap of me and another lad. Uh, and the other lad is just a friend of mine. He's a boxer. He didn't know anything about football. He had to go on a level one course, and he actually became like really good at it and got a little team of, there was three guys, and then I copped for one of the teams. So I did my under 16s and I did an under, I think they were like under sevens and under eights, and then from that every year it spiraled into like, let's add another team, let's add another team, and now it's a team at every age group, and we also run a disability SEN group up at a local SEN hub in the area. So it's
No,
sort of
no.
spiraled out of control.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I think, like you say there, maybe it spiraled out of control, but I think everyone looking at Stockbrook Colts now, it's like you say, it started as spiraling out of control, but it's come into such a wonderful and massive thing. And maybe it was a blessing in disguise, really. Um, what would you say that your big or your first successes or milestones that you achieved were within the club?
Um, just I managed to keep like groups of players together for quite a long period of time, and then when I see it, like what kills teams, I think, is success, because then what happens is everybody starts to get these ideas that, oh, I'm actually better than them. But what happens here, what happens in Stocky is, and this is only my what's it, other coaches that coach here might see it differently, but we play systems. So I, we're all gamblers. Do you know what I mean? We gamble with a system that we think will work, and we make people play in certain positions that we think will benefit us. So although a certain child might come and think he's a striker, we can actually see, actually, he's a bit of a ball player, or he's a ball carrier, or he can do this or he can do that. And then you've got that kid who's like, I'm a defender, who's absolutely bonkers. And he is actually a defender because he's frightened of nobody. So I set the systems up, and then if if everybody slots into that, then it's perfect. Like, and we've got half a chance. Do you know what I mean? And keeping players together for me, having teams where nobody leaves and nobody what's it's, everybody sort of knows their job. That's success for me. We're not a club that goes off and wins a lot of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Getting to a cup final for this club is like a massive day out. I think last year we got to 3 cup finals and like, they were all packed. The year before we got to 1 and that was packed. But we're not really like a club that goes off and like we couldn't have a trophy room. But what we can have is like a memory room and like creating groups of people and people sticking together for the right reasons. Do you know what I mean? And then gradually moving people into better positions. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I think that says a lot about yourself and about the club. That the first thing that came to your head when I mentioned success was keeping a group of players together, and it
yeah,
says so much about the inclusion and how good of a club Stockbrook Colts is. And like I said, the first thing when I said success is it wasn't a trophy or winning a cup final or something. It was keeping that group of
yeah.
players together, which is really
Well, I haven't
important.
won one, so I haven't won the cup final. So yeah, I couldn't say that, but yeah,
So it's not just about the team players. You've got obviously a really diverse group of kids. So what do you think, or to you, what does inclusion within grassroots football mean to you?
it means that obviously up until a certain age, it's non-competitive in kids football now, and it wasn't when I started. So when we started at under 10s, it was at Leesbrook School on the grass, 7v7, and it was a league. And the first ever team that we put out, we finished second bottom with 3 points, and we thought that was an achievement to finish second bottom. So, but what we did is we made sure that everybody like got a game, got equal game time, and that's something that the teams lower down. So like the sevens, the eights, the nines, the tens, and the 11s, they all try and do equal game time, except for the cups, the shields, and stuff like that, because that's the one time that the managers get to pit their what's it against the other teams, because it doesn't really matter if you win or lose. Nobody's ever looked at Stockbrook Colts against Allington United, let's say, seen me managing, seen me dominating you or you dominating me, and rang up Man City and said, I tell you what, we've got one here. Do you know what I mean? If you're doing it for that, if you're doing it thinking somebody's gonna spot you, or you're gonna move on to something else, then you're not doing it for the right reasons. And I'm not sitting here now saying that I've always made the right decisions. I've always picked. I haven't. I will have. I will get stuff wrong. I got something wrong this weekend. I've got a lot of players, and I'm shifting them about to moving them up to age groups, moving them down to age groups, just to make sure some of the teams have got full teams, because some of them haven't got as many players. And then the teams that they actually playing, I'm forgetting to move them back, so they're not getting minutes. So that's on me. So I'm not perfect, but what we try and do is we try and give everybody a game, but we have to cap the numbers. So because I've only got a certain amount of coaches, I can only have like, let's say in one of the teams we can only have 14. So in our under sevens, because they're new and it's exciting and they're bonkers, we can only have 10 players. So to make, because I'm not doing it, to make those coaches have loads of players and rotate it and stuff like that, they're going to quit before it's time for anything else, before they move up. Do you know what I mean? You've got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You've got 5 years of non-competitive football. So I've got to give them the best chance. So if I give them 10 to start with, that's more than enough, because you will always get somebody who's got a party, who's ill. Do you know what I mean? 10 is a nice number. And then as it moves up, add a couple. Some of the teams don't have that luxury because we're too nice. Yeah, bring them, bring them, bring them. My team at under 12s has got, and it's 9 aside, and it's got 24 players signed onto it. How do I juggle that? Because they're playing league football now. Parents may say he's doing it brilliant. Some will say he's doing it awful. My son's only had 3 games out of 10. Some have played a lot more. Do you know what I mean? It is really, really odd, but I always try to make sure that everybody gets a fair shot. I ask the coaches to keep a log of who turns up to training, because it's just difficult, like to appease everybody. And I understand that people are angry, but this coaching isn't mine. Or when you're coaching, like when you're coaching Allington Keeders, that's not your job. You're volunteering to do that. So, when people question it or call you on stuff, they're not there in the pissing rain. Are you allowed to swear on here?
Yeah, you're all good.
They're not there. I won't swear again. I'm sorry, man.
You're all right.
They're not there in the rain. They're not there when it's like when you've only got 4 players because everybody's decided that they're going here, or when you've got 6 players because, well, we're going Derby away this week because it's only up the road. Do you know what I mean? So you're there and you're putting it in every single week. For them, they can take or leave it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you said there is really important, and that you've got the right frame of mind that sometimes coaches struggle to have, where it's under 7s to under 11s is all development football, and like you said, if you're in that level of game with the mindset of if we don't win, the world's on fire. Like you're in the wrong sport and you're in the wrong game. When it gets to under 12s and above, like you say, that's when it becomes it's competitive now. You've got to learn to win, you've got to learn to lose, and you will get game time, you will not get game time, and that is the harsh reality of competitive football. But like you've said there's too many coaches from under 7s to under 11s that are stuck in that mindset of we have to win and we will win at all costs. Now, Don't get me wrong, if you don't want to win, then there's something wrong. Everybody wants to win. But
I'm miserable if I don't win, mate.
Absolutely.
I am miserable. It does my head in. But what I was thinking, when you said about coming on here, I was thinking about something. I was trying to work it out in my head. So I get my teams train for 1 hour a week, and my match, let's say it's 1 hour. So what I'm coaching them for an hour. Mm-hmm. There's X amount of hours in a week. When I've got them for that hour, let's say 10% of that time is taken up by toilet breaks. 15% of that time is taken up by kids being kids. Then you've got probably a little percentage where, when is the match? When are we having a match? When are we having a match? When you have a match and you're not doing the training, you're alienating those kids that aren't ready to play in a match or can't do X, Y, and Z, because there's always going to be kids they do all this other stuff. And then there's always going to be kids where football is for 1 hour on a Saturday or 1 hour on a Sunday, 1 hour, whatever day of the week you train. And then all the other hours of the week are schools, after school clubs. They've got relatives, they've got family, they've got this, they've got that. Not everybody is taking the kid out or can take the kid out. Parents have got jobs, they've got other kids, they've got other interests. So not everybody is doing. When I was a kid, and I sound old again, but kids was out there practicing stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like trying to smack a ball over the crossbar, trying to like playing a ball off the wall. I walk these streets every night. I walk my dog. And I don't see kids doing that anymore, apart from a real few kids. There's 2 kids that I see every single night, and they're out there against a wall. They've got a pop-up goal. But I walk this whole area every night, and I only see 2 kids and it's the same 2 kids, and it's the same 2 kids every night. But I don't see anybody out there like I used to. Do you know what I mean? So 1 hour from me, and then expecting everything to be all right on a match day, that's not fair. So, do you know what I mean? I'm not perfect. And when I'm standing and I'm watching that game, and I'm disappointed when on Sunday, my under 12s, we couldn't put a corner over. The week before, we couldn't put a corner over. Nobody's gone away and thought, you know what, I'm going to put a bit in here and I'm going to whack some corners up on the field. Nobody's gone away and done that. We've got the same problem. When we get there this Sunday, hopefully this don't go out and Ashbourne has text don't see it. We can't take a corner. So this week, when I get to football, I've got to get something in place where I can get the ball knocked out and we can whip a ball in, because that's our best chance. Because nobody will have done any of that thingy because they've all got so much other stuff on. Do you know what I mean? And that's not a slight on anybody. Those parents they're doing a mint job. That they've got so much other stuff on that playing for Stocky isn't that important, but it is important when we do something wrong as coaches. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think it does.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, you've got that hour a week to try and fit everything that's gone wrong in the last 4 weeks. So whether you're doing a 4-week plan, a 4-week development plan of this 4-week block is going to be all on how to take a corner, but then within those 4 weeks at game day, oh no, you now can't take a throw in. So then you've got to wait another 4 weeks to be able to work on taking throw-ins. But like you say, the expectations are so high that the throw-ins should be sorted by next week. The corners should be sorted by next week. But you've only got an hour a week. And we're not academy level. We can't train every single day of the week. We can't do classroom sessions, things like this. So you've got that hour to fit it in. And again, just to repeat what you've said, 20 minutes is taken up by kids being kids. 10 minutes is kids turning up late. 10 minutes is can we have a game? Can we have a game? And you only ever get about 30, 35 minutes of training. And it's very, very hard. And to balance those expectations of parents and players, it all falls back on the coach in the end.
Yeah.
So moving back onto a little bit about the club as a whole then. When kids join Stockbrook Colts, what is the first thing you want them to feel or experience as a kid joining that team?
I just want to, as soon as they come, like we get their name, we make them feel special. Do you know what I mean? Integrate them into the session, like proper big up their name. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, always try and remember it. I always try and remember a few little bits about each kid as they watch it. So what I do at the start of my session, and I've saw something recently on one of them clips where it said, "Stop making your players run." I will never ever stop doing that because they don't do any running. They might go to school, they might do PE. They get lifts to school, they get lifts home, they get lifts to roller world, they get lifts everywhere. So I'm never stopping running. So we run at the start of every session. And while those kids are running, it's not sprinting, it's running. It's getting their breathing right. They want to play football, all of them. Let's say the maximum, they all want to play for an hour. And they can't run for 10 minutes. So while they're running in that 10 minutes, I'm talking to them. So I'm going up and down the line. So I know something special about each child, or I know something about their parent, or I know something about their sister, or something that happened that week. And then I can work with that. And that's what makes me and that kid have that bond where I can ask him a question. So if you ask any kid who played for Stocky or has played for me, I will always know what they had for tea. I will always know what they like. I will always know what's coming up in there, what's it. There's kids that love it. They absolutely love telling me a story every single week. I've got one in my under 12s. As soon as he gets there, he's got a story. There's something every single week because he just wants that engagement, me and him. Do you know what I mean? So I try and remember everything. I try and remember everybody's name, their sisters' names, their brothers' names. I'm no good with parents. Everybody in my phone is saved as X's mom, Y's mom, Z's mom. Do you know what I mean? No, but I wouldn't know their names if I saw them. I would just go, "Oh, you're all right, Reggie's mom," or "You're all right, Max's dad." Do you know what I mean? Not because he's mom. These people are so and so's mum to me. So I always try and make the kids feel special. And I'm not very parenty. Kelly is the one that deals with the parents. As soon as that session's finished, I'm off. Like I want out of there. I don't mind having a little chat with the kids and stuff like that. Parents, I can take or leave it. Do you know what I mean? I'm. It's not my. I'm not going to stand and like or organize something for our parents to do this or do that unless it's like a big occasion or somebody's leaving or something like that. The, this sounds horrible as well, but these people aren't your friends. Because you know, like when push comes to shove and they think you're not doing a good job and they take their kid and they go somewhere else, that friendship, that time, that's gone all out the window. Do you know what I mean? And that kid's gone then. And that's you done. But that's not on the kid. So, you know, when I see the kids, I went somewhere in the week. I went to a funeral of a man who I absolutely love, local legend. And I went to the funeral and I saw his grandson, and his grandson used to play here. And he looked at me and I think he thought, oh, God, it's Kenny. And I went, hey, old mate, how you doing? You all right? And I made a fuss of him because he used to play for Stockey. He used to play for me, like for my club. So I'm not, my relationship with that child will never, ever change. Do you know what I mean? So I always try and make them feel special so that they always think he's actually a good guy. So no matter what they think of the team, the coaches, whatever, they always think, do you know what? He's actually all right, that Kenny. Do you know what I mean? That's how I look at it. I'm more about the kids than the adults. I don't need any more friends. I've got a partner. I've got two sons. I've got some bosses at work and stuff like that, and then lads at work and stuff like that. I'm all right for friends. I've got enough enemies. Do you know what I mean? So I'm all right. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. I think that is what also is really good about yourself and a lot of other coaches is it separates you from being the guy that shouts on them on a Friday night at training, and you're actually you're separated from being a coach then, and they can trust you, they can have a chat, you're their mentor. They've had a bad day at school, they've got no issue in coming up to you and going, oh Kenny, I've had a terrible day at school, and they know that they can trust you and tell you those things that maybe they can't speak to their brother, their sister, their parents about. So to be that mentor for a child is really, really important, as well as balancing it as being their coach.
Don't get me wrong, mate. I'm not perfect, and there'll be times where I will shout stuff where I actually think to myself, my other coaches do it with me, and I've watched other, I can see that they shouted something and they thought, "What am I doing?" Do you know what I mean? I'm not coming on here saying, "Oh, mate, I'm brilliant." Do you know what I mean? I never shout. When I see something, sometimes I'm just a normal guy. Do you know what I mean? But I will say something and I'll go, do you know what? I was out of order there. And I will go over and I will put my hands up. Do you know what I mean? And I hate losing. Everybody who knows me knows I hate losing. But after 21 years, I can sort of section it off now where I can still enjoy the rest of my day, even if, because I realise after so long that it is only kids' football. Do you know what I mean? And it isn't life or death. And nobody's going to look at me and go, he's doing a right good job. Let's get him up here.
And I absolutely love that saying, and it is so it's so ironic in a way of it's kids football, and there's so many people out there that just completely forget about it. And every week is the World Cup final, or and it is just kids
What
football.
I call it is because I also do, as well as doing Stockbrook Colts, I also do a bit of volunteering for the Junior League. So I go around and make sure everybody's got their vests on and everybody's all right and there's no issues. And then I report anything back. I just sweep up and make the tea, basically. Do you know what I mean? I don't sweep up and I don't make the tea. I put the goals out, I go around the pitches, I make sure everybody's all right. If there's a problem, I'll send it to the relevant people. But what I see and what I've seen for years when I go and watch football, not every week down at Thingy, but what I see and what I call them is I call them Sunday morning Mourinhos because that's what they think they are. Do you know what I mean? Some of them, I look at them and I think, God, you ain't doing this for the right reasons, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's too personal. You're too angry about it. Do you know what I mean? And I said it, I keep saying it. I am not perfect. By no means. But some of these like guys, women, Sunday morning Mourinho's, and you've just got to take a pinch of yourself sometimes. Do you know what I mean? I love doing the under sevens because one of the things I had to ban in under sevens at the start of the season when we first got them, I had to ban cuddling from the session. 4 players just kept cuddling. And Kelly tells a story that she told last night to somebody when we was talking to some friends of ours. One of the kids at football said, "Sir," because they all call you sir when they're 5 and 6. "Sir, I need a toilet." And I went, "Yeah, Sam, mate, toilet's over there." So we've now got a toilet after 20 years. So a toilet's over there, mate. And this kid said in front of everybody else, "Would anybody like to go to the toilet?" And what I thought, what's he about? What's he doing? And he like a couple of kids went, yeah, I would. So they all went together. 4 kids went together, held hands, walking to the toilet, which is like halfway across, half a pitch away. And then what happened was I thought they're going to come back in dribs and drabs. And I'm like this. When I'm frustrated, I start doing this. I'm looking, I'm like, the first one's come out of the toilet and he stood by the side and I'm shouting something to Kelly. And Kelly's going, like, what are you on about? And I was like, the second one came out and he waited with the first one. Third one was in the toilet. Fourth one was still waiting to go in. I was like, they're waiting. They're going to come back together. So you know that 10 minutes, that's 4 players out of 10 that I've got here. That they've just, that the drill's gone. Do you know what I mean? But I'll never forget that, and I'll never forget them lads. And now when I see them lads on the thingy, I see them lads on a Monday night because we're all together on a Monday. And there's probably 4 or 5 of them that I see. They come over, they shake my hand, because that's another thing that I'm big on. I like people to shake hands at the start, at the end. And he always like, one of the things that I ask is, only shake my hand and look me in the eyes if you've given me everything today. If you've done everything that you said you can do, or that believe that you can do, shake my hand and look me in the eyes. And them kids, them 6 years old, they don't play for me anymore. But they come over, they shake my hands, they hug me, they scream at me, they invite us to their birthday parties, which we've turned up at. Do you know what I mean? They are so like integrated into this club and this family straight away, just because of mad things like that and banning cuddling and like, let's have 5 minutes where nobody talks. What do you do if you want to pass to somebody? What do you mean? Just, you can still do that, but he said no talk. Just the innocence of it and the what's it. They just doing the under sevens and the under sixes. That makes me every year fall back in love with football.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think everything you've just said there about that age group that's what, and I think is personally what every coach that wants to get into football should start with. Because like you said there, it makes you fall in love with football because you're not, majority of the time, you're not really a coach. You're kind of just a guardian watching a bunch of kids run around a football pitch. And it is brilliant and it is absolutely fantastic. And that's where you see the difference between those Mourinho coaches who probably will not experience that because their kids are too afraid to do things like that. And then you've got coaches like yourself that great developmental coaches. You know how to put a good session on, but you also know the difference of let's have a bit of fun as well. And that's what football's about, and especially at that age group.
I honestly, it's my favorite thing, and I've only had it once where we've gone to set up some drills and we was watching the kids and they were actually like nailing passes about, and I was like, I think what we're going to do here might be too like babyish for these. And they were like, honestly, they were like an all singing, all dancing under sevens and just went smashing teams to bits. And I was like, we've got a problem here because Stocky always has the teams that are at 2:30. So me and my mate can do that. And they just kept going like that. 1-all them, move down, move down, move down. And then in the end, we had to like pass it over. And they went on to win the Shield that year. And then this year, they're like competing in, I think they're in group 2 or 3. You know what I mean? And then that far away, when they moved to 7 aside, they've got everything in place to be like a great 7v7 side with the coaches that they've got now. Do you know what I mean? And the coaches that they've got now, they're integrating everybody, so everybody's part of it. They're not just they've not just got the 5 or 6 or 7, and we're working with that. They're integrating everybody into the whole session, and that's what I love about this club. I don't look and think, yeah, he's alienating him there, or he's what's it that. Everybody gets a chance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. So everything you've said so far has been really positive and a lot of really good background stories about the club, about yourself. We're gonna go on to something a little bit negative now, which is obviously about the facilities and the struggles that Stockbrook have been going through at the moment. So if you can just sort of summarize for those that maybe don't know, what are the struggles and why you've had to be so resilient so recently.
Yeah. So for years and years and years, we've just put on sessions at like local park, and there was a court with floodlights that are higher off the boxing club. The boxing club have the lights in there. I pay the boxing club. There's no middle. There's no like nobody's making any money. I pay the boxing club whatever he asks for, which is the going rate. He never says, "Oh, it's going to cost you this much." It's like £6, £7 for the lights, and then just recently, and the surface has always been bad, but when it's wet, it's getting worse and worse. So imagine your garden after 20 years of not jet washing it, and then like a film builds up and it's slippy and it's awful. There's trees all around it, so the roots from those trees now have pushed up, so they're creating trips and hazards. And then what also happens is the water builds up in there. And then once the water's actually drained off or gone, there's a silt that sits underneath it that makes it even more dangerous. So this year, we've always got away with it. We've always scrubbed it. We've always got through. And this year, like, I got a phone call saying that some of the coaches were up there saying, this is no good, blah, blah, blah. They've got a call off the parents. So I sat here and me and Kelly this is the table where everything happens. We sat here and I was like, I'm not having that. Kelly said, let's go up and sort it. So we went up, we cleaned it. We managed to get the session on, but when we got back, our feet were soaking because of water and what's it. And Kelly works in an office, so she wears nice clothes. I work in a factory setting. So I could chuck my clothes in the wash or in the bin. The courts are filthy. People lock their dogs in there. So when we got back, Kelly was sat there and she went, you do realise we are going to have to cancel training? And I was like, yeah. And then I thought about it and thought, we are actually going to have to cancel training. So for the first time ever, I said, look, nobody's training. I need to sort something out. And then I was really lucky that some people that rallied round for me. So Ash from Allington, he put me in touch with the guy, is it Jay at Moorways?
Yeah.
And a couple of lads phoned up other facilities. And rightly or wrongly, I went with the first one that I got. So Ash sorted Allington out for us up at Moorways. Brilliant facility. I got 4 teams up there. I got 6 teams down at the racecourse. But one of our groups we couldn't continue with. So what we do is, at Stocky, on a Tuesday night, we get everybody together from all the teams, and it's called Tuesday Night Super League. We put them all together. You're allowed limited amount of touches if you're really good. If you're not so great or you're developing, you can have as many as you want. Certain players can't score in the area, certain players can. So it's sorry. So that group couldn't continue because it would have been cost too much to put on another session during the week, because these facilities are top notch but they're expensive. Do you know what I mean? So our pitch is no good because there's a lot of people use it, not just us. There's big community groups that use the pitches as well. So everybody's using it. The pitch is a bit torn up, a bit patchy. So it wouldn't have been fair to put our floodlights on there and wreck it for everybody else for this coming summer. So we moved, and then that training's been great. It's been really, really good. Everybody's loving the top class facilities, but it's taken away the heart of like why we started, and it's also taken away those kids that would just walk there or would just get the parents that don't drive. Some of the stuff that's been happening, parents like I saw it on Monday. I saw parents walking down the street with 3 or 4 kids. They don't have a car. They're going walking into town, either getting the bus or getting an Uber from a bit closer, or actually walking to the race course to get there for 6:30 and then at 7:30 they're either getting a lift back or everybody's been absolutely amazing. And we've just this week, I think it was this week, was the first time that we managed to put it back down to a pound because we had some great volunteers who did like a massive walk. Like some of the dads, the granddads, a really good friend of mine, a great player back in the day, Calvin Bowler. They did this amazing thing that was really emotional for all of them and raised the money so we could actually put it back to a pound, and then the pounds actually go into the teams. So there'll also be a bit of money there for next year because we have got planning permission now for a new facility, but we haven't got any dates. So that's what's killing us at the minute is we need a date for when this is going to happen for us to be able to move forward. And obviously, if we get this facility, then there'll obviously be a cost to use it, and then we don't know what that is. We've not really been involved, and we haven't got a very good relationship with like local councillors or people who work for the council. But that's because of years of like nothing. Do you know what I mean? We've had probably 30, 40 councillors since Stockbrook Colts started, and it's the same as Allington. We've got these areas, and we've got these people like yourself and like Ash and like me and like the people in this, like in your club and my club, that care about these groups, but we've got nothing. And then we've got these other clubs that have got these like amazing facilities, amazing partnerships, and like we don't want anything that like we don't want somebody to give us something. We just want somebody to help us. You know, like Allington, they're going to put they put that beautiful Moorways swimming centre and stuff like that there, and then that we're quite happy to fire a Starbucks in there and a this there and that there, but there's no infrastructure around Allington. It's like the areas gets what I call it we've been redlined. We've got since I've moved here, we had we had 2 schools I think when I moved here. No, 3. Sorry, we've now got 5 schools. Do you know what I mean? We've got a new school at Bemrose Junior School that they've added on there. They're building a new one here. There's Further Estates, there's Bishops, there's now Cathedral. Do you know what I mean? All these things that are getting crammed into this area. A lot more stuff, but the parks have like disintegrated. And I don't know what's around Allington, but what I know about this area is when I first started, there was a pitch at Roaditch. That's gone. If you ask any questions about Roaditch, you get shut down. There was 3 football pitches at Ricknold. There's none. There was always a set of goalposts on Stocky Park. It was never a pitch. They're gone. If you ask about anything, it's always like, oh, it's him again, banging on. It took for us to stop training in Stocky, move away, alert people, throw our toys out the pram, if that's what you want to say, for anybody to take notice. And now people have took notice and are like, they're helping us. Do you know what I mean? So we've got planning permission that the one at Normanton Park took 21 days. Ours took 10 months. When we started kicking off about it, it got done not many weeks after screenshots and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So I always feel like everybody's against our like the certain areas like us and like Allington and Stocky. That's one of the things that like it probably consumes me a bit much more than it should. But there's literally nothing. There's literally no And I don't begrudge anybody having anything. I think it's amazing that Derwent and Alistair Juniors have got like a partnership down at the hub, and they deserve it. Everybody deserves that chance. I don't know what other clubs I've never been to Melbourne, but I'm told that that's stunning. I don't know what other clubs have got. I know that RBL have got their own little court and they've got a pitch. I know that Mickleover FC or Sports or whatever they call themselves now, they've got Varsity Grange, which is absolutely amazing. And they've got the 3G. So like they've got two things. And then there's a Mickleover 95. I don't know what they've got, if anything. Do you know what I mean? So I just feel like you should give us all something. Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah, no,
Everybody should have the chance to each area. There's all this money in football, people earning hundreds of thousands of pounds, and then when you get right down the bottom, nobody really cares. That's how I see it.
absolutely. And I think a lot of people would agree with you, and the fact that yourself and me as well have seen it firsthand that there's just no help, and these clubs with the good facilities and the partnerships, like I don't want to take it off you, like you said, and
Yeah,
good. I'm
yeah,
glad you've got it because you're helping hundreds of kids play football, but those that are having to walk a mile to the bus stop to then take a half an hour bus and it ruins it for those kids. And like you say,
yeah,
why can't, with the amount of money that is coming into football that the council have, why can't everybody have an equal chance at playing football? And it's not like these clubs are asking for a brand new Mickleover Sports Stadium. It's
no,
it's a bit of a nice bit of nice turf, a floodlight shining down, happy days. And
yeah,
it's just frustrating that all these clubs don't get that chance, and it ruins it for so many
yeah,
children. Um,
yeah.
so like you say, you've got the planning permission now, which is brilliant. And you've been pushing for these better facilities for a long time. Um, I know you mentioned about the runs and the sponsored walks and things that you've done. What has the whole campaign looked like for yourself? Because people might have seen in the news and things that it's been into the higher
Yeah.
ups with Catherine Atkinson and people like that. So what has the whole campaigning looked like for the club?
Honestly, the amount of people that have like backed it, supported it, sent messages, sent like donations and stuff like that, and like I always thought when like I panicked and thought this is going to be a nightmare. Like I'm sort of like sticking a knife into the club here, and honestly, the phone never stopped. The amount of people that helped, dropped messages, like some of the clubs that normally like you'd never hear off. Do you know what I mean? So they all watch it, and there's so many people like would asking like everybody in local football knows who I am, and always like yeah, if you need anything, give us a shout. Like there's one guy I didn't even know he knew about like our thingy, and he just said, listen, he came to collect this stuff for his game on a Sunday morning from me down at the racecourse, and he shook my hand. And as he shook my hand, he put some money in my hand, and he said, "It's not a lot." He said, "But I just hope it'll help." And it was massive, man. He gave me enough to pay for 2 sessions. And I know so many people doing that, so many businesses. Like we've got so many great pubs, like the Woodlark and the Kensington and people like that, where they just did stuff and gave us the money. Then the lads did the walks. We people gave us like and got us loads of badges and stuff like that, and we sold them, and like parents paid extra, and it just got us through, and it just galvanized everything. And I just what we need now is we need to get to the end of um, this training, which think finishes in April, and then bring everybody back to Stocky, and then hopefully we'll have a date by then, and it'll be exciting for everybody going forward.
Yeah, I can imagine that first training session back with everyone at Stockbrook Park it'd be a
Yeah,
big one and quite an emotional one that you've managed to get through this rough patch with the help of everyone. and yeah, celebrate the fact that even in the hard times, you've proved that the
Yeah.
club can keep going.
The
Um,
people keep this club alive, mate. Always. The money that we've received off anybody other than the people is very, very minimal compared to what the people have donated and done for this club over the years. Last year's walk, I think, was 12,000 pound. That's all sponsorships from parents and stuff like that. So the people are what keep this club running, and the donations. People sponsor players to play for the whole season because they're friends of mine or they're friends of other coaches, or Kelly might have said something. So somebody will go, oh, I'll just sponsor a player. Do you know what I mean? But just mad things like that. That's what keeps us going. Just
Absolutely, yeah,
goodwill.
yeah, and it's and I think you're getting out of what you've put in to the club and what your other coaches
Yeah.
and everyone within the club you've put so much in, and it's nice to see that bits are coming out now. Um, so we'll move on from the pitch situation, and we'll go on to a little bit more of the coaching side of things, and as well as the coaching of you owning or being the top of Stockbrook Colts. Taking it back to 2005 when you started, it's a little bit of a different time now. Um,
Yeah.
what's a bit of advice that you'd give to somebody wanting to start out a grassroots club and b just get into coaching as starting out as being a manager or a coach?
If I could go back to then and give myself some advice, I would say don't put any pressure on yourself. Enjoy it and just let them enjoy it because I probably put a lot of like we didn't win a game in that first season, and I probably put a lot of pressure on myself, thinking, "Oh my, this is a horrendous idea." Like we never won a single game. Like there was one game at the end of the season where we was like 2-1 up. I was thinking we're going to win a game, and we didn't win a game. And I thought I learned so much more from that because actually winning was amazing. Like that feeling of winning the next season was actually amazing. Losing all them games at the start, I think it gave me what's it like a good grounding. Like winning's not easy. Winning's not like taken for granted. I watch teams turn up against other teams in certain games and think that they're going to turn them over. But what I always say is like if everybody gives everything from here, from what's inside of them, if they give everything, I promise you, you will be close at the end. I'm not saying you'll win, but you will be close. I told my players, I don't know if you saw that game, the cup final that we had this year. Did you
Yeah,
see that cup final?
yeah.
So I told my players, if you give everything, you will be close at the end. So it was 2-0, the score was. I would take responsibility for the second goal because I sent everybody up for that. We gave everything. So, when we came off, it didn't feel like we got absolutely smashed or we was, because I know they gave everything. And it's getting me a bit emotional, but as I took them players over to them parents and they were clapping, all those parents was clapping back and crying because they knew that every player on that pitch gave everything they had, everything, and they left nothing out there. And that's all I will ever say is, if you give me everything, I will give you everything. Do you know what I mean? I, I can only talk and what's it. Do you know what I mean? I try not to shout. I've got a lad. I think you know him. He'd be a great guest. Bods. He does my shouting. I whisper to him to do the shouting. But if you can, if you can get the players to give you everything, if you can get that trust, and they give you everything, then you can have magic moment. Like we didn't win that cup final, but that was a win for us because we played the year before and got absolutely smashed. Do you know what I mean? Goalkeeper was man of the match, and defenders are like blocking balls on the line. That one, when I took them players over, I looked at them parents and looked at them looking back, and they didn't have their heads down. They was proud of us, and the other team's players, parents, was proud of us as well because we gave everything, and that's all I ever want. it's not about winning. It's about it. Can you look yourself? Can you say that you gave everything? And some weeks we're all guilty of that. Like, oh, could I have given everything? One of my things is I don't ever have a drink if I've got football the next morning. So I would never turn up like thinking, oh, I'm a bit hungover, or I'm a bit, because I signed up to do this. I did. Do you know what I mean? This is what I'm going to do. So, and I always think if you, I don't win every week, but if you fail to prepare, you're preparing to fail. Do you know what I mean? And all I ask is, if I'm going to be here, you're going to be here. Let's give everything we can. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And that comes from what we spoke about earlier about getting that trust and gaining that trust and being more of a mentor than a coach. And they complement each other so well, because if you're that child's mate, then and you're giving your all, then they're going to give it back. And
Yeah.
that's where the magical moments come from, and the
Yeah.
joy of coaching.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've just got one more question for you.
Sure.
What have you and yourself learned about leadership from running the club for over 20 years, whether that's the leadership coming from the management side, or the leadership coming from coaching these young children? What have you learned about yourself and you as a leader in these last 20 years?
I wouldn't really I'm not really a leader as such. Uh, I am at the, like, me and Kelly are at the top of the club, but I am only me because of Kelly. So everybody thinks, oh God, like he's been doing this all them years, but I'm only allowed to do this because of Kelly, and this only works because of me and Kelly. So everything that I do or say or comes out of my mouth, and I tell the coaches and this, that, and the other, gets discussed here before it gets discussed there. So if I'm not sure about something, I will always come back here and me and Kelly will discuss it, and then we'll go at it like that. So uh, I'm really lucky that she buys into it, because I know some coaches and some their partners don't buy into it. Football don't really mean that much to them. But I'm really lucky that when I started this, she was by my side, and she's always been there. Do you know what I mean? So we lead, like, I'm not saying we're not perfect. We get stuff wrong. We will say inappropriate comments. Well, Kelly won't. I will. But we will say things that aren't right. Do you know what I mean? We will say things that aren't factually correct. We will always try and be right. I always try and, if I've got a safeguarded issue, I will go to Jenny at the FA. If I've got a league issue, I can go to Claire or Isabel at City League, or Tony. I will always go to somebody and get that off them. I'm not afraid to ask for something. I'm not just going to guess. I, I will always try and arm myself with the facts. So when I go and do junior league for them on a Sunday, and people come at me and say, "Oh yeah, but I thought," and I'll say, "Well, that's not the rule, is it, mate?" Because you've got to arm yourself with everything, and you've got to remember as well, when you're at the top of something, everybody wants to shoot you down. Everybody's got a problem. There's always something, and they've always got a question that you wasn't expecting. So don't just answer it. I would always say, you'll have to leave that with me. That's one of the reasons that I don't go over chit-chatting at the end, is because if they've got a question, they can send it me, or they can ask it me, and I'll say, listen, I've got a dash, but I'll get back to you on that, and then I can get the answer. Do you know what I mean? So I've got a saying. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on here. I've
Yeah,
asked that once already.
yeah. You're right.
I've got a saying. My saying is, bullshit baffles brains.
I like it.
That's what I always say.
I do like it. I know I said that was my last question, but there is something that I've just thought of that I would like to know. And I'm sure a lot of people listening might like to know as well. Um, let's look into the future. 10 years from now, what is the picture that you want to see?
Well, do you know what, mate? I, we, I haven't got an answer for that, because I really don't know what this summer's going to bring. Our aim is to get Stockbrook Colts back to Stockbrook Park, and we can do that for the summer. But after that, because we've got no dates of anything or anything in place, and nobody's contacting us, it's gone very, very quiet. I really don't know, and that's the most honest answer I can give you, mate. I really don't know. After when is it? April. After April, and when we come back, I can guarantee that in May we'll be doing the walk, and in June we will have some form of presentation, and then after that, I honestly, I'm really hoping that now January's out of the way, February, March will bring some form of news to this club, because they can't have another year of travelling, because it will absolutely decimate like what we've got. We've been really lucky to hang on to what we've got for so long. And also, sadly, some of the teams at Stockbrook Colts next year probably will not run because they just haven't got the players. The people haven't travelled with them, and then they've dropped off. And then even they've been invited to play in matches, and they've also taken like they've also said, well, I'm not going training. I'm not going to go to the matches. So we never said if you don't train, you don't play. What we said is, look, if you can't get, you can't get. There will be nothing held against anybody. But if you can, we'd love to see you there, but we won't hold it against you for a match day. So players have been picked for matches when they haven't trained, but they've decided not to turn up, and that's put a lot of strain on a few teams this season. So I would love to be able to tell you this is what 10 years looks like, but I don't know what 10 days looks like at Stockbrook Colts at the minute, mate. So
But I think
yeah, I'm really sorry.
I think everyone's hopeful for the best, and everyone wants the best, and from just listening to you,
I promise you we won't stop working until we yeah.
absolutely. And I think from everything you've said, I think everyone knew it already, but this just strengthens the fact that your heart is in the right place, and the people that you've got around you, you are all in it for the right reason, and you will work and work and work to
So lucky with
keep
the
kids football
volunteers that
alive.
we've got.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And you,
Just a shout out to anybody who volunteers in grassroots football, mate. Anybody, because people just think, oh, it's coaches and managers. They don't see like people probably don't know who your dad is. Your dad puts all the stuff away on a Sunday every week without fail. Do you know what I mean? Never moans about it. Never. He just goes there and does it. Your mum is at football every single week at Leesbrook. Do you know what I mean? Go in there when the caretaker forgets to open the gates or forgets to unlock the court. So that's her Sunday done, because she signed up to do that. Somebody's not, what's it? They don't realise that every Sunday for all these people that do leagues and volunteer and stuff like that, their Sundays are gone. If you say so and so is not available on Sunday, we're going out for dinner, that's sound. If we all did that, there would be no grassroots. Do you know what I mean? I would love to say, oh, I'm going out for breakfast every Sunday with my granddaughter and my grandson. Do you know what I mean? Or anybody. I'll go for breakfast with anybody. But you can't. You make these commitments.
I love
Do you know what I
that.
mean?
I think that's a perfect way to wrap it up, as it wraps it up so perfectly from everything we spoke about today. Of it doesn't run without without volunteers, and
Definitely.
and yeah, that's the bottom line really. And it grassroots football physically cannot run without these people that put goals away, that coach, and there is so much. It's such, I always call it an unthankable task, as
Definitely.
the reward comes from, for me personally, and I think a lot of coaches, the only reward I get from my coaching is seeing a massive smile on that kid's face, and in returning to my session every single week. And I love that. But like you say, there's there's so many things that I just want to go to for breakfast for a Sunday or something, and you can't do it. And
You
I
know,
know.
you can't go out on a Saturday night because you know you've got coaching Sunday morning, and if you turn up and you're not, what's it? Your players are gonna feed off that, knowing well, Kiedis ain't that bothered, Kenny's not that bothered. I'm not going to be that bothered. Do you know what I mean? You've got to turn up and show that you're willing. Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't turn up to work absolutely steaming. Do you know what I mean? So why would you do it for something else that you're volunteering, you're giving your time to it. So I say turn up. Your time is more precious. Do you know what I mean? You get paid to go to work. When you're going coaching, you're not getting paid. So you still got to give that your all, just like you would work, in my opinion, anyway.
Absolutely, mate. No, we really appreciate you coming on, and
Thank you.
I've loved here sitting and listening to your story and everything you put into football
Thank you.
and developing these children. I think it's really brilliant, and I know sometimes maybe knowing you don't realize how good of a job that you actually do. But everyone sees it from the outside of you being Kenny is is brilliant for these children and the amount of joy that you can give these kids and they're gonna grow up and I mean you see it now when kids come back to you like you mentioned and they come and shake your hand and I'm sure that must
Yeah.
mean the absolute world and that comes from
Oh,
yourself
definitely.
being yourself and the people around you in the club. But no, I really
Yeah,
appreciate you
definitely.
coming. I really appreciate you coming onto this. And I'm sure a lot of people listening will love to listen to everything that
Well, thank you very
you've
much,
said
mate.
today.
I appreciate you, mate. And if you ever want me to come back on, mate, let me know. It's been an
Absolutely,
absolute pleasure. Thank you,
absolutely,
mate.
Kenny.
Take
Thank you
care.
very much. Thank you.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you everyone for watching the latest episode of Inside Football. We hope you enjoyed. Be sure to check us out on Spotify, drop us a follow, and subscribe on YouTube. See you in the next one.